All right, today we're going to tackle something huge, getting your money right. We're diving into the core ideas from Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And the big promise here is that managing your money doesn't have to be complicated, and it definitely doesn't mean you have to track every single penny you spend.
So, let's kick things off with a kind of weird question. Why are money and food so similar? Now, I know that sounds like a strange place to start, but trust me, it's the absolute key to understanding why so many of us feel so stuck when it comes to our finances.
It's because with both, we get obsessed with debating the tiny little details, you know? In fitness, we argue for hours about keto versus paleo, or if some weird fruit will magically boost our metabolism, when really, 99% of us just need to eat a little less and move a little more. And with finance, yep, we do the exact same thing.
There's actually a name for this problem, the info glut trap. You start hearing all these terms thrown at you, 401ks, Roth IRAs, stocks, bonds, and instead of feeling empowered, your brain just kind of shuts down. It's classic decision paralysis. We get so overwhelmed trying to find the perfect strategy that we end up doing nothing at all.
But here is the brutal truth. Doing nothing is the single most expensive mistake you can possibly make, especially when you're young. The biggest factor in building wealth isn't being some kind of financial genius. It's just getting started.
Let me show you exactly what I mean with a classic example. Let's call them Smart Sally and Dumb Dan. Sally invests just $100 a month, but she only does it for 10 years, from age 25 to 35. Dan, on the other hand, starts a decade later, at 35. He invests that same $100 for 30 straight years, all the way to 65. So he invests 3 times as much money for 3 times as long. He should end up with more, right?
Well, this is where the magic of compound interest comes in. Get this, even though Sally invested $24,000 less, she ends up with about $80,000 more than Dan. How is that possible? It's because her money had an extra decade to grow, and that early growth is just unbelievably powerful. Starting early is everything.
So, if doing nothing is the problem, what's the solution? It all comes down to a shift in your mindset. You have to stop debating the tiny details and focus all your energy on the big wins.
This is what Ramit calls the 85% solution. The idea is to stop trying to be perfect. Instead of obsessing over the small stuff on the left, like spending hours clipping coupons to save a few bucks, you focus on the high-impact stuff on the right. These are the things that are actually worth thousands of dollars, automating your investments, negotiating your salary, and getting your credit score in shape.
And here's a perfect example of just how big a big win can be. Take your credit score. On a pretty standard $200,000 mortgage, the difference between having an excellent score and just a fair one could cost you over $100,000 in extra interest payments. That's not a latte. That is life-changing money. Okay, so once you've started hitting those big wins, what's the actual goal? It's not just about piling up money for the sake of it. It's about using that money to consciously and deliberately design your own rich life.
This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of it all. This system is not about deprivation. It's about making choices. If you absolutely love to travel, you should be able to spend a ton of money on it, completely guilt-free. The trick is to become ruthless about cutting spending on the things you couldn't care less about.
So here's the blueprint. It's called the Conscious Spending Plan. You divide your take-home pay into 4 buckets. Around 60% is for your fixed costs, rent, bills, all that. 10% goes to your investments. Another 10% goes to specific savings goals, like a vacation. And as long as those are covered, that remaining 20%, that is your guilt-free spending money. You can blow it on whatever you want, no questions asked.
Now that all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually make it happen without becoming a spreadsheet wizard with infinite willpower? Well, you build an automatic money machine.
The principle here is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. You just invest a few hours up front to create a system that automatically sends your money where it needs to go. Once you set it up, it just runs in the background, working for you forever.
And here's what that system actually looks like. Your paycheck gets direct deposited into your checking account. Then, before you even see it, money is automatically transferred to your 401k, to your Roth IRA, and to your savings accounts. Then, your fixed bills, like rent and your credit card, get paid automatically. The money that's left over in your checking account, that's what you can spend totally guilt-free. You've already paid yourself first. This really brings up a critical choice you have to make. Trying to pick the next hot stock or time the market. Yeah, that might feel sexy and exciting, But the truth is, a boring, automated, buy-and-hold investing strategy is what actually wins in the long run. The goal isn't to be sexy, it's to be rich.
And that brings us to the final thought. All these tactics and systems, they're just tools. The real fundamental question this whole approach forces you to answer is, what do you actually want your money to do for you? What does your rich life look like?